What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to give you a quick overview of some of the current data points, break it down on why it did go up as much as it did today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid did go up 2%. So I think it's deserving of a round of applause, especially considering Tesla and Rivian both went down 5%. Polestar did go up 13%, but after hours it is getting slammed. And that is because they did submit a document to the SEC stating that their annual earnings are going to be late. So the market clearly does not like that. So in reality, Lucid did do fairly well. There is a couple of attributing factors why it did go up. And that was despite no news, no SEC filings, nothing along those lines. On social media, you still see a lot of people talking about the whole Saudi foreign minister driving a Lucid. So I think that is pretty kick-ass marketing, but still no real justified reason for people to buy Lucid. So in reality, it is this. So the technicals are playing a very big part in Lucid. And as I said in my video yesterday, that it is kind of pointing to upside coming, meaning a possible breakout, because it did hold this S2. I've said time and time again, this last week and a half, this S2 has been Lucid's saving grace of $2.43. And whenever a strong support or resistance point is touched, it does typically bounce off of that and trends higher. So in Lucid's case, and especially over this last week, this S2 has held, causing a nice temporary rally. And even when it does dip below that, it does quickly retrace back in. Even based on my last purchase, it did briefly break below this to 240, and then it just trended higher from there. So big money is actually looking at Lucid very closely, in fact, through options and through common stock. These are some of the transactions that did occur today on the secondary market above $100,000. So 2.27 million and 4.5 million. So even though this is a small amount in comparison to like a month ago, it still is a nice improvement, and it kind of does show that institutions are at least still looking at Lucid and still buying it. So I see that as a pretty positive thing, again, despite no real substantial news coming out. And so, of course, the technicals played one part, as well as big money did buy. So it's nothing really crazy, no speculative stuff. A lot of people are talking on some possible candidates or catalysts that could be coming from their upcoming earnings, because as I've stated, like Tesla is like the pivotal of 2024 and their earnings. So their key metrics were garbage, but they gave very good future guidance. I think that is exactly the same criteria that the market is assuming is going to happen to Lucid. So hopefully retail does ask sufficient questions to management for this upcoming earnings, such as AKA like wink wink ESS, China, and maybe things along those lines, because that in reality would get the same kind of reaction from the broader market as what Tesla did announce. Not to the same magnitude, because of course Lucid isn't announcing robo-taxis, but actually, to be fully fair, they did, or Peter did state in 2021 that robo-taxis are 10 years out. That might be a possible question that we could ask. Still, though, that's nothing to do with like anytime soon. That'd probably still be 5 years out, but maybe you never know, right? Maybe Lucid is working on something sooner rather than later. Or a good question is, would Lucid ever kind of buy their technology from Tesla for the FSD? I know it's kind of touchy subject there, but you never know. That could really escalate Lucid's push to robo-taxis. But still, obviously you guys get what I'm saying. The market is still somewhat cautiously optimistic about Lucid and their upcoming earnings. So all of that combined is leading to what you see here. And shorts, though, they've been somewhat timid. So today they did increase 200,000 shares. 30.75% of the free float is being shorted. 100% is the utilization, 96.06 is the short score, and cost to borrow average is 113.73%. So I have brought this up in the past. Shorts are paying quite a lot just to maintain their position, and even looking on the chart itself, Lucid has been somewhat stagnant and kind of trading within a set range for a while, ever since February. So Lucid shorts are paying quite a lot. So 113 or 114% for the cost to borrow. Mind you, that is an annual rate, but they still are paying quite a lot to maintain their position. So when it comes to their upcoming earnings, if there is that positive aspect similar to what happened with Tesla, you never know. You could see a squeeze. I know it's a very rare circumstance for a squeeze to occur, but I think a lot of institutions are waiting on the sidelines for Lucid just to say some good words, words of wisdom, if you want to call it that, from their earnings. Then they will buy like hell. I know a lot of retail say it's in the comments of my videos, and just I see it on social media. Like any good news about the gravity, any news about ESS, they are going to buy. I think a lot of people are just waiting for Lucid just to give the, hey, we are good, we're going to be okay. And that's where you'll see a substantial amount of buying. So I think in reality, that's kind of a good thing. And so yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. And I have been really monitoring to see what AI does say about Lucid. And oddly, as of late, it does say that it is a buy. So that's kind of an interesting circumstance, right? Because for a while, it did say that it was a sell. And I did bring it up on previous videos. It goes over the explanation on kind of what you can see. But right now, surprisingly, it does say that it is a buy. So maybe that's kind of linked with the algorithmic trading coming from larger institutions and market makers, why Lucid is also trending up. So I don't know, maybe there's some correlation, maybe there isn't. I'll let you guys do your own due diligence. At the end of the day, a lot of money was getting into Lucid through options, especially with it hovering around 250. It was kind of a smart way to really hedge and do a strategic options strategy, because especially when it is on a strike price, as you can kind of see, a lot of people, or I guess one large institution, was doing a strategy. So where they do buy calls and puts, 250 strike price, and it looks like September the 20th expiry date. So that way they'll win one, will lose one, or potentially just mitigate risk. Lucid is a very volatile stock, so typically when it does trend down, sometimes it does retrace back or vice versa. So I think a lot of institutions are maybe starting to hedge to encumber maybe their earnings and possible second Q2 earnings as well. So we'll just have to wait and see. But 1.55 million in puts, 767 in calls. Of the call options that are being purchased, you do see a consensus for it to be above $3 by this week. So a very nice recovery in that regard. And then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub 250 by this week. So obviously the risk versus reward is very much in favor of upside versus downside. But before I get into the technicals and everything, I did make this new channel. Well, to be honest, I didn't actually make it. I just had a crypto channel that I didn't really do all that much in. So I converted it to a Lucid channel. So I'll put this in the description below. So going forward, I'll do thumbnails and all this fun jazz and make it look nice and pretty. And so maybe starting tomorrow, I'll be posting Lucid content under here. So make sure you guys jump over there and subscribe and all the other fun jazz. Probably for the earnings, I will still have it under financial journey, but again, I will be transitioning all my Lucid content to here, and then that way I'll do financial journey as random stuff, random miscellaneous stuff. But getting back to it, so with it closing at $2.55, it is trading between this S2 and this S1. So the next target that you want to watch for Lucid to get above is 264. And especially with the Feds coming out tomorrow on their interest rate decision and what Powell's going to say afterwards, that could be that catalyst that the market does need to propel it higher into this S1 to the pivot, or vice versa. It could be that kind of dagger that causes it to trend back into this S3 to this S2, breaking that very strong support. So we'll just have to wait and see. But moving on from that though, looking on the actual chart, it did attempt to transition into the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, but not really enough there to keep it there. Like if there was a good piece of news, then yeah, I'd say Lucid was justified for it to really transition, but right now there wasn't really all that much. You do see on stochastic it is at 47, so that is considered somewhat neutral, so it's not considered overbought nor oversold, but you do see a nice bullish deviation, so white line above the red. So of course that's a fairly good sign. It does match with overall sentiment, as you can kind of see right here. So sentiment is extremely positive right now, so this is where I do feel that institutions and maybe even retail are buying based off of that, possibly. And then of course you do see number of retail investors were slowly back into Lucid today. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid, and give yourself a shout out if you did buy, if you sold, what did you do with Lucid? And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 7 fractional shares of the 𝗪𝗧7. So pretty kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.